So just a governance overview. So as far as the corporate structure goes, Alphabet Incorporated is actually the parent company of Google. And they also operate with a dual class share system. So they have class A, B, C, giving founders really an outsized proportion of voting control, which we'll get into a little bit later. As far as governance risks go, only 13% of total voting power is held by actual public shareholders. Um, and then also concentrated founder control may limit the shareholder influence. So really effectively the shareholders don't really get a say in what's happening in the company. As for leadership and oversight, the CEO is Sundar Pichai. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And then the independent chair of the board is John L. Hennessy. And as far as oversight committees, though, they have a governance committee and then a leadership development and compensation committee. So the Alphabet board composition, there's 11 members on the board. For gender diversity, there's 4 women. So out of 11 members, that's 36% women, which is, I would say, a decent amount of women to have on board. I mean, could there possibly be a few more women on this board? Sure, but at least there's, a little bit of representation there. As far as ethnic diversity goes, there's Black, Asian, and Hispanic representation. And then I did a little breakdown of the age range. So the youngest is 49, oldest 71, and then the median age is 61. And then here's just a quick background of everyone on the board. So the CEO, he does tech and engineering, which is quite fitting considering that's kind of what the company does. Um, the John Hennessy, the chair, he is in academia and he's the Stanford president. Francis Arnold, he's director. He is a Nobel Prize winning chemist. And then Ann Mather's also director, and she's in finance and media. Then we have Robin Washington, also director, and she is in biotech, and she's the former CFO of Gilead. And then we also have K. Ram Shriram. He's also a director and he's just an early investor and he is into tech. So, governance committees and ESG oversight, we have a few of the key committees include audit and compliance, nominating and corporate governance, leadership development and compensation. And then as far as oversight goes for ESG, there is no standalone ESG committee, but these ESG issues are really integrated into the existing board committee, so there's not really a need for that specific committee. And then also the ESG disclosures are aligned with TCFD and SASB standards, and then the oversight of these committees includes AI ethics, cybersecurity, device diversity and inclusion, and board refreshment. So the average board tenure is about 6.5 years. So they want to make sure that we're getting new faces into the board and so that the company can continue to be successful. So with the dual class share structure that I kind of mentioned before, so the class A power distribution, that's the public. They really only have 13% of the power. Class B is the founders, they have 56% of the power. So really they are controlling what's going on. And then Class C, they have no vote and they have 31% of power distribution, I guess. And then implications. So the co-founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, maintain voting control still. It does limit influence of institutional and retail investors. Shareholder proposals often face a lot of structural resistance, so it's hard to get um, what they want out of the company just due to the voting power that they have. And then there's an increased push for investors to eliminate dual class structure. So strengths and concerns of this particular governance is on the strength side, there's a lot of diversity in the board and also just a lot of experienced people. So, that just sets them up to make great decisions for the company. There's independent board leadership. They are transparent on They have transparent disclosures on AI ethics, D&I, and cybersecurity. And as I mentioned before, they have active board refreshment and succession planning. As far as concerns go, the dual class share structure entrenches founder control, so they really get to control everything that's going on. There is really no standalone ESG or sustainability committee. And then shareholder engagement and voting influence is limited or maybe limited. And then there is actual limited transparency in lobbying and political contributions. So just an overall analysis of governance. Alphabet Incorporation or Incorporated has strong governance frameworks and a very capable and diverse board. Um, Concerns remain regarding, founder control, shareholder voice, and overall committee transparency. Investors are actively pushing for governance reform so that they can have more voice in what's actually going on. And then Alphabet may face pressure in the future to add a dedicated ESG committee, reform that dual class share structure to kind of even out the voting power, and then increase their lobbying disclosure. So, as far as my recommendation goes, I would recommend continuing to monitor shareholder proposals, the SEC filings, and proxy voting trends.